Hello, I'm Deanna Herron, host of the Deanna Herron Podcast Show. Have you ever wanted to do something bold, like start a business, write a book, or go for your dream job? This show was created for women just like you who want to be bold, shine bright with grace. My goal is to educate you, inspire you, and empower you with ideas that can transform your life. Be inspired by the Deanna Herron Podcast Show at deannaherron.net. Hello and welcome to the Deanna Herron Podcast Show. This is Deanna Herron, your host. Today I have an amazing guest and I'm so excited to share him with you. This podcast is designed to give you tips to live your best life, business, and personal. And our guest today truly defines living his best life. He has so many incredible things that he has been able to overcome in his life, and I'm excited to share those with you. So let me introduce to you Coach JC. I became familiar with Coach JC when I actually started my branding journey. He's been very instrumental in helping me with this podcast, get it going, and has coached me through this process. Coach JC is a motivational speaker, an author, a brand manager that helps faith-based entrepreneurs create a very highly profitable brand. He's a motivational speaker, and did I say podcaster already? You have so many labels. It's amazing. So let me introduce to you Coach JC. Thank you so much for joining me today. This is going to be an exciting podcast, and I'm anxious to share you with everyone.
Yay, come on. I'm so excited. I can't even sit down right now, Deanna. Like, look at me. I had to stand up because I'm so overly excited and stoked to just be, joining you today. And I'm so honored and grateful. This opportunity for me is always humbling when somebody asks me to be on their podcast. And I've done thousands of podcasts, but it's just an honor that God uses me through my story, what I've been through, my mess, my success, to be able to speak in the lives of others. So I can't tell you how excited I am. And I'm just believing, Deanna, that, as we share today with your audience, that lives will never be the same. So thank you from the bottom of my heart for allowing me to be on your podcast today.
Thank you very much, JC. This is truly my honor. You have such an amazing story. And I would love for you to share that during this podcast, but can you just start off and just share a little bit about your life with everyone?
Yeah, absolutely. You want to know what I'm doing right now in life?
Who you are. Who is Coach JC? Where do you live? What's a day in the life?
Yeah, so my life is absolutely amazing. And, here's what I believe. I think, the word of God says this, that we overcome by the blood of the Lamb and the word of your testimony, right? So the blood of the Lamb is what he already did for us, right? What he did for you, what he did for me. It's done. We can't control that. But the word of our testimony, the word of your testimony, mine, is what he has done through you, through me, through us, right? So, my life, and I live my life so that I can be an example to others. And as I share my story today and we dig deep today, I'm believing and I'm expecting for lives to never be the same. And I hope it motivates people and inspires people. And I know that, God is no respecter of person. And what he did for me, I know he can do for you on the other side listening today. And, and why do I say that? Because I get to wake up every single day, Deanna, you talk about being bold, shining bright with grace. I get to wake up every single day with passion. And I operate people say to me, JC, are you on drugs? What is wrong with you? How do you have so much energy? And I do strategic things, and that's why I have the energy. But most of that energy comes from purpose. There's so many people, Deanna, that walk around every single day with no purpose. And here's what I know, passion comes from purpose, right? Purpose breeds passion. So every single day I get to show up and I jump out of bed with no alarm clock. I get to coach people. I get to inspire people. I get to help people win in life. That's my brand. It's called Win All Day. I've been blessed and successful to build a personal brand through my story, my knowledge, my wisdom, what I was able to overcome. And every single day, I get to show other people how to overcome. I get to coach other people on how to overcome. I get to show other people and coach other people how to build the best version of them, how to build a purpose-driven life, how to actually walk out your calling and your purpose on this earth through a personal brand, through what God called you to do. So I do a lot in the fitness industry. I do a lot in the personal development industry, authored some books. So I'm all over the place, like in marketing and life coaching. If you really ever wanted to hear what a day looks like in the life of me, talk to my wife. Like my wife's like, how do you do all that? How do you get it all done? I don't understand. 4:10 a.m. and it's 10:30 at night and you're still going, why, how? But I can honestly sit here and say, I'm a walking testimony. I am a miracle. I'm here today and I'm standing and I'm on this podcast with you, but I'm a miracle. And I can't go through a day showing up and not playing all out. There's people on the other side that need what I have. And when I show up on purpose. I show up with intensity. I show up with energy because I believe that my steps are ordered and there's people on the other side of my actions and my words in everywhere I go, that it's divine appointments. So in a day in the life of me is like if you drank 3 cups of caffeine and you worked out and you feel the most energized person in the world. That's in the life of Coach JC. So join me one day. It'll be fun.
Love it. I love it. The energy is contagious. I just want to raise my hands and go, amen, brother.
Come on, baby.
So awesome. Okay. So can I just ask you a question about, you said you're strategic about your energy, and that's something that I think, for me, as I age, energy is so important. And so what are some things that you do strategically to build that energy instead of having 3 cups of caffeine? So
100%. Great question. And, so there's a couple things I do. And I've discovered this when I was at my lowest point in life, and I built Coach JC, who's standing in front of you today. I wasn't always this guy. I always knew that deep down inside I had a calling, right? And I always knew I was going to do big things. I knew at 8.5 years old, when me, my mom, my sister were living in a shelter. It's group housing. My dad left us. We grew up extremely poor. My mom tried really hard, but we were living in a group housing development. We saw a lot of pain and suffering. And I remember looking down at my sister while she's in the lower bunk bed and I'm in the upper bunk bed, and I'm weeping and I'm crying and I'm asking the question, why? Why us? Why me? Why can't I have the Michael Jordan sneakers like everybody else? Why do we have to move so many times? Why do we have to take public transportation? Why do we have to use food stamps? Why do we have to visit the local food pantries to eat? And I'll never forget at that moment in time, something inside of me arose, and I knew what my calling was at 8.5 years old. And my calling, because of all the pain and suffering that we saw and we experienced, I knew for the rest of my life that I was going to help people stop the pain and suffering. And even though I went through some stuff and was able to overcome, that's still what brings the most energy to me. Is I cannot allow myself to go by how I feel. Okay, so I make a decision. That's number one. Irrelevant of how I feel, emotions and feelings do not dictate and determine who Coach JC is and how he shows up. Besides that, I'm very strategic, Deanna. When it comes to who I am, the Word of God says, do not neglect the gift that is inside of you. So I take that serious. I say, okay, well, who is this guy, that Coach JC guy that's been created? Okay, if God put him on the earth at this time and then I got to be a good steward of that. This is my temple. This is this is serious to me. God created me. So physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, relationship-wise, in my business, I have 7 key areas to win in life that I put together from people I've coached with and mentors. I make sure every single day that I am stacking wins in those areas. Okay, so hear me. I don't just work out when I feel like it. I work out 7 days a week, period, end of the subject. Okay, I created my own supplement line because I was sick and tired of all the crap out there in the market. And because of that, I figured out, what do I need to put into my body? For me, it's 9 different supplements I take every single day. A Life Essential multivitamin, like a greens drink, like a protein powder. So nutrition brings energy, how you feed your body. Physically working out, your body was made to move. I keep my immune system high. I keep oxygen flowing to my cells, but also emotionally and mentally. See, a lot of people don't realize, Dan, there's a lot of people that are physically fit and they take care of themselves from a physical place as health. But also, if you're not emotionally fit, if you're not spiritually fit, if you're not mentally fit, that creates physical, health issues. That creates lack of energy. When you have emotional stress and weight. So every single day when I get up, I put myself in a peak state, right? I learned this at my lowest point in life. I am going to go into the day And I am going to orchestrate and dictate and determine how I show up. How do I do it? I have my morning routine. I have my winning hour, which I call it, that I created my lowest time in life. I have strategic things I do, from mindset to emotional to scheduling my day, mapping out my entire day. Like, it's strategic. But a lot of times, energy for me comes from passion and purpose. All right, having a purpose, knowing why I show up on this earth, my calling, serving others. And then it comes from what I feed my body, okay, my exercise routines, and then also my daily self-care, right? It's called personal development. So I have a strategic winning hour that I do every single day. Your fans, your followers, they can go get it. CoachJC.com/winning hour. You can see exactly my winning hour that I do every single day to make sure I train my mind and my emotions along with my body to set myself up to win so I can show up at a peak state every single day. Does that make sense?
I love it. Your winning hour is my morning routine. So setting yourself up for success. I love it. Absolutely. And all of those together, I think, are so important for everyone to hear. But what I love the most is your purpose. And I truly believe that is a struggle for most people. They don't know their purpose. So they don't have that passion and they don't feel fulfilled. There's a difference in what I see is I get the opportunity to breathe life into people instead of, oh my gosh, I've got to go to work today.
Yeah.
Yep. A huge difference.
Well, one shift in what you just said in your perspective, right? Think about that for a second. What you just said, I get to, right? I get to serve people. How many people show up every single day and say, I have to, right? So just those little shifts on a daily basis can change everything in how you show up to the world. Like, Deanna, the bottom line is, we know, you and me, that everybody has a purpose. Like, everybody has a purpose. I just take mine extremely serious in that I am the brand. Like, I'm the personal brand. I'm who God created. I got to be a good steward of it. And perspective is a huge part of it. If you can view your life differently, I mean, we can get into all that self-doubt and belief and all that stuff. But I love how you just flip the script by your verbiage. Like, I get to show up. I get to show up in my marriage. I get to show up no matter what life looks like. Imagine if you just made that one perspective shift today. Right? I get to think about it. I'm mad at work. I hate going to work. I'm burnt out. I'm depressed. I hate my boss. People, that steers their entire day. What if you shifted and said, I get to go to work and I get to have a job at times right now in life when people don't even have a job and they can't get a paycheck. Just shifting I get to from I have to can change the entire trajectory of your life, right? Right.
Absolutely. So yeah, that's the passion that I hear in your voice is you have that I get to, instead of the I have to. So can we talk a little bit about purpose? I believe that's a struggle for most people looking for what on earth am I here for? Can you go into that just a little bit? Because I know that that's your heart and soul as well.
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I think the first thing, here's what I would add. Like, Deanna, here's how I always go back to. I think the number one question to ask yourself right now, if you're struggling with purpose, is who am I? Right? I go back to that. We could talk about goals. We could talk about dreams. We could talk about all these fancy, cool things. And that's great. And I believe in all that. But I think most people don't have purpose because they're in an identity crisis. They don't know who they are. Right? So if I was to ask somebody listening right now, who are you? Like, who are you? You see, most people, they get it twisted and their identity is in what they do as a career. And then when that career's over, they're let down and they're looking for purpose, or their identity is caught up in their current, situation, right? And they believe their belief system is now all that's possible is all I can see at the moment, right? So you have to, you're not what, like, and this is going to resonate with somebody. Like, I know somebody's listening right now and they were told something when they were a kid, or they were told something last night by a spouse, or they were told something by, a teacher growing up, or a boss said something, or a parent. Like, you got to come to a conclusion right now and an understanding that that's not who you are. What somebody told you, right? The past rejection, the past mistake that you made, all those things, the failures, the limiting beliefs, you've got to today make a decision to say, no, I'm done. That's not who I am. My past mistakes don't define me any longer. See, because if we get it twisted, I'm never going to be able to find purpose if I have an identity crisis. So right now, if you're listening and you're showing a purpose, let's get you playing in the present again. Let's get you excited about the future again. Like, here's what I know. One of the greatest beliefs that you could ever have. Number one belief is a belief in God, a creator. But the second greatest belief that you could ever have, Deanna, is a belief in you, in who you were born to be, who you are and who you can become. Like, belief moves mountains, but unbelief creates mountains. So if you're right now a product of your past, yes, I am too. But you can't become a prisoner of the past. You can't allow the past mistakes and failures to say, this is who Coach JC is. You got to come to a true understanding today and say, I am going to create a new identity. Here's why this is powerful, Deanna. Self-esteem, right, is how I view me, how you view you. So if I get up every single morning and I view myself as ugly, as fat, not worth it, I can't, it's impossible, I'll never have it, right? I am training my subconscious mind to actually take on this false identity. And that's powerful. There's a lot of women listening right now that want to be bold. They want to shine bright with grace, but they're stuck in this false identity. Guys, you got to hear me right now. You can shift that. And once you shift that, and why it's important is your self-esteem, how you view you, how I view me, directly affects your self-image. Self-esteem is how I view me. Self-image is how I believe the world views me. So if I view myself in a negative way, then I believe the world views me in a negative way. So I'm never going to show up and be bold. I'm never going to shine bright. I'm going to retreat. I'm going to pull back. I'm going to isolate because I'm scared of rejection, of failure. If I view myself as fat and ugly, I believe other people do. And I start to create this story about my life that's not even true. So I'm telling you, if you don't have purpose right now, the number one thing we help people do is come to a true understanding of who they were born to be, who they are, and who they can become. We I'm talking about cutting serious ties, like killing the old you. That's what I did. I can't coach people on theory. I just coach people on what I did. I killed the old man. Like, literally, I was like, this guy, I hate him. He's a failure. He's a loser. He's depressed. He's oppressed. He threw away his story. That's not who God created me. And I created Coach JC, and I had to take on a new identity. Guys, so if you're listening right now, like, I want you to hear me. God designed you. I want to come through the screen and just hug somebody right now because, like, this is so powerful and can change your life. Like, there's one thing you have that no one else in the entire world has, and that's you. So you got to take on a new identity today and say, hold on, wait a minute. I was created with a purpose. I'm here on purpose, and you got to show up on purpose in your marriage and relationship and business. Like, you were planned. Like, this, to wrap my mind around this is just so amazing to me. You have a God that cares about you so much that you were planned and put on this planet at this moment in time. You were destined to do something great. Come on, like, you got to wrap your hands. Like, you're the difference. Like, you're the uniqueness. Like, you're what the world needs. Like, there's nobody like you. The greatest way to create a new identity is with, like, it's one power statement right now. And you've heard it before, Deanna. People know it. It's the I am statement, right? If you're in an identity crisis, check your words that are coming out on a daily basis. Death and life is in the power of the tongue. Whatever you put after I am is what you bring life to, right? God, the great I am, right? So think about it for a second. Your present reality is created by you. Like, your future is determined by you, and it's determined by the belief in you, the belief that you have about you. So if you believe yourself to be a loser, not be worth it, I can't be financially free, I can't make the money, I'll never be that, I'll never be loved, then you'll never will be. You will never rise to another level higher than the image that you choose to believe about yourself. Are you feeling what I'm saying? Like, the only thing holding you back right now is the vision you have about yourself, the belief you have about yourself. So if you want to change and take on a new identity without a whole coaching session today, this is the simplest way to do it. Take the I am statement and start to recondition your subconscious mind by training your conscious mind to believe something you may not even believe at the moment. You might have trained yourself to take on an identity of I'm fat, I'm a loser, I'm not worth it, I'm weak, I'm fearful, all this stuff, I'm limited, right? You got to shift that by starting to call those things that are not as if they are and saying, hold on a second, I am wonderfully made. Today's your day. You talked about it earlier, Deanna. Like, today's the day for the lady listening right now to receive grace, to say, you know what? The only thing holding me back is a belief in me. And I'm going to receive grace today. I'm going to choose to believe that the best is yet to come. And I'm going to start to choose to believe about the best about myself. about who God says I am. And I'm going to start to call those things that are not as if they are. I don't believe it right now, but to create that new identity, I'm going to start to show up and say, I am here on purpose. I don't feel it. Oh my gosh, I'm tired. No. I'm here on purpose. The Bible talks about casting down, right? You got to cast down the negative thoughts, the behaviors, and the false identity. So what if you got up every single day and say, I am here on purpose. I have a purpose. I am loved. I am worthy. I am passionate. I am strong. I am fearless. I am a millionaire. I am bold. I shine bright. I am talented. I'm resourceful. I'm respected. I'm whatever you want to be. You got to start to take on a new identity today. Get out of your old identity crisis. Start to bring back a belief in you, who you were born to be, and who you can become. The greatest way to do it, cut ties with the old you and create a new I am about who you are. Does that make sense?
Awesome. And you know what I love about that, JC, is when you are saying I am statements, you are talking to the I am. So if you're saying I am beautiful, you're speaking to God himself. If you are saying I am ugly, you're speaking to your creator. So no matter what you're speaking to the I am.
Huge.
And shift it. Exactly what you were saying, shift it. So powerful. How were you able to shift to Coach JC? What were some of the things what was happening in your life around that time, and what made you finally go, dang it, I'm done. I'm done with this. I'm creating who I am.
Yeah, I think my story's simple. I grew up extremely poor, single mom. We had nothing. I created a story at a young age, seeing all the pain and suffering that I was going to be the dad, be the husband, rescue my mom, my sister from this poverty-stricken life. I was going to do it by making a lot of money. That was the answer. Get my family out of this poverty-stricken life in New Jersey. And I was going to do it by being one of two things, either a professional rapper. Yeah, baby. Back in the day, it was Vanilla Ice. Or I was going to be a pro athlete. The rap career didn't work out too well, but I became really good at basketball, used athletics to stay out of trouble. And it took me out to Oklahoma to actually play basketball at a school called Oral Roberts University, ORU. And freshman year, I made one decision. I abandoned the morals that my mom raised us on. There was a cute girl on campus, and she got pregnant, and it was my kid. I was told to get married, got married, was divorced in about 6 to 8 months, ended up in the fight of my life to be a dad in a custody battle, threw away my story, wasn't able to play basketball any longer, fighting to be a dad, married, divorced at 20 years old, okay? And what happens when the story that you created for your life, what your life should look like, the house I'm going to live in, the person I'm going to marry, the body man, what happens when that doesn't end up exactly how you thought it should end up? For me, it took me to a very dark time, okay? Ended up over $400,000 in debt, fighting to see my daughter be a dad, depressed, oppressed, suicidal. And that was a defining moment in my life. And I have a tattoo on my arm that says pain with an arrow to purpose, because I had to make a mindset shift at that moment. And I remember laying there in an apartment, okay, $400,000 in debt, suicidal, and fighting to be a dad. And I made a shift at that moment when I came across two things. I enrolled in a Bible school, okay, and I read a Tony Robbins book. And these are the two things. Romans 12:2 in Bible school. I can honestly tell you, Deanna, I don't even remember some of the classes. I don't even remember showing up. I was in such a fog. I was just showing up, putting a smile on. I was dying inside, suicidal, and I was showing up to Bible school because somebody told me to do it. But I remember this class by this one guy, and he said this, Romans 12:2, do not be conformed to the things of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. You can change your entire life by changing your mindset. And I was like, whoa, I want to change my life. How do I do it? And then not too long after that, I picked up a Tony Robbins book and I read this quote, the meaning of anything only has the meaning that you choose to give it. I said, wait a second. What if I started doing what the Bible says? I really screwed up. I abandoned the word of God. I got a girl pregnant. My story's over. I hate myself. I hate who I am. I'm living with guilt. I'm living with shame. I did what I said I would never do, get a divorce. And now I'm living the life I hate. What? What if I wasn't conformed to the things of this world? Guilt, shame, worry, doubt, all that stuff. What if I gave the situation a new meaning? I started to train my mindset, because just like you train your body, you can train your mind. Every action originates with a thought. So if you want to change anything right now, right, you have to take a new action to get a new result. How do you take a new action? You have to shift your mindset. You have to change your belief system. And then I started to give it a new meaning. that book, like that one thing in that book changed my life. And Tony Robbins became a mentor of mine. I got to meet him like years later. It's awesome, right? But my point saying is the meaning of anything only has the meaning you choose to give it. And at that moment, I said exactly what I told him earlier. I'm cutting ties with the old guy. I hate who I am. I'm going to create Coach JC. And the defining moment for me in creating the new version of me, bringing back some belief in creating a new story for my life, which I had to do, was that I knew why I was doing it. Like we talk about purpose, right? You might know what you want, and that's vision. Vision's important, right? Without a vision, my people perish. You better know what you want, right? But once I knew what I wanted, the why is what drove me. And the why was, you know what? I have a daughter right now that I'm fighting for just to see. That makes no sense to me. Like I want to be in her life and I can't see her. I have a responsibility. Like God called me to be a dad. I can't abandon her. I cannot keep fighting. And I was on a mission to be a dad. And I started my first business because I want to be a dad. I needed money to pay an attorney. Like the story is ridiculous and crazy. Everything I did at that moment in time for 8 years was to be a dad. I knew my why, my purpose. Nothing else matters. So every single day I knew what to say yes to. I knew what to say no to because I knew why I was doing. See, most people get it twisted. They know what they want, but they forget the second step is why do I want it? What's the juice? What's the driver? What's the motive? That's the motivation. That's the thing that'll keep you going through tough times. So I was on such a mission. Attorneys said it's not possible. Judges said it's not possible. And I went to another state, fought, and got full custody of my daughter. And she came to live with me and I raised her. God, I'm not telling you that to impress you today. I'm telling you that God's no respecter of person and that no matter what you are feeling, no matter what your reality looks like right now, it doesn't matter. You can create a new story for your life. Like that, the number one enemy of success, Deanna, is self-doubt. The number one chokehold of any person or business is the psychology of you, the person, right? The individual. Every action originates with a thought. Romans 12:2, do not be conformed to things world, be transformed by the renewing of your mind. The greatest belief you could have is a belief in God. Yes, but what about a belief in you? I started to believe in me. I started to believe it was possible. If you want to increase your winning percentage, if you want to win in business, in life, in a marriage, in your health, in your body, whatever it is, you got to start to believe and you got to start to renew your mind on a daily basis, which is a process. And you got to start to assign a new meaning to the situation. A new meaning means I'm not going to be stuck and caught up in seeing just what I can see in the natural, right? I'm going to assign a new meaning. I'm going to see beyond what I might see in the natural. I'm not going to be moved by anymore by the circumstance, the situation. I know the business looks like that. I know the bank account. I know the marriage looks like that. No, but hold up. Wait a minute. I'm seeing it different. I'm creating a compelling vision beyond the moment. So the most powerful thing I did yet is I started to see what I was seeing and what I wanted in life and what my why was. And here's what's powerful. If you just see what you can see when your eyes are open, you'll always lose. You got to start seeing what you can see. What are you seeing when your eyes are closed? I started to see myself as a dad. I started to see myself out of $400,000 a day. I started to see myself, being successful and, this guy that was spiritually strong and a restoration of a marriage. And it worked. And it worked. And I was like, oh my gosh, Romans 12:2, don't be conformed to these things world, be transformed by the renewing of your mind, give it a new meaning. And ever since that day, I can honestly tell you, everything in life that I've accomplished, it's because people are awesome. God's awesome. All that's great. But I transform this mindset on a daily basis, not one time. It's a daily process. And I choose the meaning that I give to everything in my life. Every single thing in my life only has a meaning I choose to give it, period. Does that make sense?
I love it. I love it. I haven't heard that, but that is so powerful, that Tony Robbins, because we all define things.
Yeah.
Right? And who says that that meaning is what it means? So what is the meaning to be a mom? What does that look like? What is the meaning to be a dad? What does that look like? And we define that, right? So a lot of times we wait on society to give us those definitions. We talked about at one point some of your 3 things that you changed to flip that switch that I thought were so powerful. Can you go through those, the 3 things that you did to become the person you are today? There were 3 particular things.
Yeah, absolutely. So for me to make that shift, right, I believe that everybody has purpose. right? And you might be listening right now and you might want to be bold and you might want to shine bright with grace, but you're kind of not. You just feel like, man, I can't get there. What's going on? Or you might be listening right now and say, man, I'm at a very pinnacle season in my life. I'm doing great, but I want to shine brighter. I want to be bolder. I want to get to that next level in my business or my career. And these are 3 things that I did, Deanna, to build my personal brand, right? I knew at that moment that when I started to recondition my mind and say, okay, I'm here on purpose, I have a purpose, that I believe that one of the greatest things that I'm blessed to help other people do every single day is build purpose-driven, passion-filled personal brands. Why do I say that? Because it comes down to personal development is what changed my life. Like personal development, developing me as a human being, being a good steward of this thing here that God created. What does that mean? Physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. So I started to create a game plan around being a good steward of that. I started to say, okay, I'm going to take what God created, but I am going to be the orchestrator of my future. And the 3 things I did, they're just 3 M's to win in life, to create your purpose-driven life. The first thing's mindset, create the winning mindset. The second thing I did was what I shared earlier is create a new story, give your life a new meaning. And the third thing is make it the way that I want to see it, right? Not the way it currently is. So just 3 M's, mindset, meaning, and then make it the way you want to see it. So let's stay on the meaning really quick, because I want to say something I think is important. Like everything in life, Deanna, okay, where you're at today, where I'm at, the female listening that wants to be bold and shine bright with grace, the only thing keeping you right now from getting what you really want in life is the story that you choose to tell yourself of why you don't have it. Your entire life is just made up of stories, right? So right now, my challenge for everybody listening is let's create a new story. Let's stop making up stories to excuse the result we don't have at the moment. Change your story, change your life. You only get a new result, like I said earlier, by taking a new action, right? You only take a new action by creating a new belief. Change your belief, change your life. All story is a belief. All belief is a story. You see, it's not who you think you are that holds you back. It's who you think you're not. Your story, right, gives you the belief. Your belief has the power to say, I'm going to love who I am. I'm going to hate who I am. I'm going to survive or I'm going to thrive. I'm going to lose or I'm going to win. I'm going to crush these dreams and these goals, and I'm going to create a new story for my life. Or this is all I'll ever be. This is all I ever amount to. So what do you believe right now about your life? Like, that's what I want to ask you. Like, what do you believe is possible? What do you believe about your life? What do you feel about you right now as a human being? Like you see, like belief is a feeling of certainty about what something means. The meaning of anything in life only has a meaning you choose to give it. What you look for is what you'll find. So what are you looking for in life? For me, I had to look for something totally different than what I could see in the natural. So the 3 things are super simple. Number 1, you got to renew your mind, create a winning mindset so you can bring back a belief in you, who you were born to be, and who you are. Number 2, the meaning of anything. You got to start to create a new story around what your life looks like. And then number 3 is you got to make it the way you happen. Faith without works is dead, right? You actually have to take action and create new habits and rituals on a daily basis, right? But let's pause there and say, so most of the people right now, Deanna, if you don't have what you want right now, and you're like I was, there's just something called fear holding you back, right? And most of the stories that we create in our lives look like they're a reflection of the things we didn't do or did, but they correlate back to a fear of being rejected, a fear of not being loved, a fear of not being enough, a fear of not making it happen, a fear of too much success. So my point in saying that is, how do you overcome fear? Is you got to create a new story with faith. How do you create faith? See, faith is not a feeling. That's where, most faith-based people get it twisted. Well, I'm waiting on God to feel it. You don't have to feel it. There's a simple formula. It's spiritual plus natural equals supernatural. What I'm telling you today, like you're listening to this podcast and you tuned in for a reason, you can change the entire trajectory of your life. You can create the breakthrough in your life that you've been waiting on God for. You can create the miracle that you've been waiting on. And I'm showing you right now, create a new story, create a new belief. Flip it. And that's all I've done over and over is I flip the stories. Life's not what happens to you. It's about how you respond. So you want to flip it. you got to start to, number one, see beyond the current situation, like we talked about earlier, create a compelling vision beyond what you see at the natural in the moment. And then number two, to create faith, is you got to start to, so that's see it different, right? You got to start to see it different. Number two, to create faith, is you got to start to say it, right? You got to start to say it. The word of God says life and death are, in the tongue, right? We know that. But also faith comes by hearing. So what I started to do, and you can do right now, is I started to just become the best preacher in my life. I loved T.D. Jakes at that time, but when I couldn't hear T.D. Jakes, I started to preach to myself. I started to become the best, teacher in my life, the best coach in my life. I started to become the best preacher in my life, the best sales guy in my life. And I started to speak and call those things that are not as if they are, like I told you earlier. And I started to create faith in my life and started to flip this fear story into a faith story by seeing it different and speaking it different. Does that make sense?
Awesome. So basically the last one is vision. So you visualized the life that you wanted to create or co-create with your Heavenly Father. Am I right about that? So it was,
Deanna,
you saw what you wanted.
Deanna, the word of God says, write the vision and make it plain so you can run with it. If you don't know what you want, you will never get it. So I ask you right now, you want to shine bright. You want to be bold. You want to start the business. You want to launch the podcast. You want to make that impact. You want to start that ministry. Whatever it is in life, what does winning look like to you? Define it. What do you need to get from your life long term? The word of God says that I desire for you to live an abundant life. Like, what do you want? God wants you to have desires of your heart as long as they line up with the biblical principles. But what does you making money look like? What does you, creating that business, that impact, whatever it might be, look like? What kind of impact do you want to make? What kind of legacy do you want to leave? What does a purpose-driven, passion-filled you, shining bright, being bold with grace look like?
Yes.
But here's the thing that I've learned too. The first key, self-awareness. Where am I now? Where do I want to be? Clarity is a powerful thing. But if you don't visions, you've got to create a vision. That's why I always ask people, what are you seeing? And people say, what do you mean? What am I seeing? I'm seeing this. I'm saying, no. What are you seeing? You've got to create a compelling vision for your future. So what does the vision of your life look like? Without a vision, people perish. Helen Keller said this, and I love this quote, and I use it all the time. She said, what's worse than being born blind is having sight with no vision. Are you hearing what I'm saying? With no vision, people just go through life. I don't have a vision for my marriage. I'm just going through, and then I'm wondering why me and my husband don't get along. I have to get a divorce. I'm just going through my business. With no vision, you dabble, you search, you wonder, you get it twisted. So the question I have for you right now is, what are you seeing? And not just in the natural, but what are you seeing in the supernatural that could create a new life, a life of winning, a life of boldness, shining bright with grace? You've got to create it right now. If you're listening, write the vision and make it plain. What is the body that you desire look like? What would you feel like? What does the bank account look like? What does the impact look like? What is you like being your best spiritually, mentally, emotionally? What kind of impact would you make? What would you do with your free time? Write the vision, design your life, orchestrate your life. You've heard it said before, create a vision board, right? People are like, that's weird, that's crazy. Listen, I've done this very successfully with many things in life, from starting a business to getting out of debt to going to fight to be a dad and custody. It really works. So many people are walking around blind every single day, but they want a different result. Create a new vision and you'll absolutely change your life, Deanna. So yes, it was a huge part of what I do. And I still have a vision for my life, and that helps bring purpose, right?
Absolutely. What I love though, is you visualize at such a young age, you visualize that success. I am the dad. How old were you? 20?
I was 20. I was 20 and 21. Yep.
Yeah. So that's pretty awesome that you were actually able to visualize where you wanted to be and you went there. So it is so important for us to have that vision. And I love how you said supernatural, because what most of us do is we create a goal and a vision based on what we think we can accomplish. And it leaves no room for that faith.
Huge.
To do something.
Huge.
Yeah.
I'd say this, Deanna, a vision for me brings purpose, right? Vision for me it brings hope. Like vision for me brings faith. Like a vision is why I can live with intensity, like and with passion and energy and compassion and effort, and why I show up the way I do. Like for me personally, like here's my challenge. If you're listening, like you got to start today to see, right, what you can do beyond what you can only do at the moment. Like this is what I used to do. I say, okay, Coach JC, what are you seeing at the moment that you can do at the moment? Well, I'm only capable to do this, to do that. I can do this, I can do that. No. I had to start seeing what I could do that I've never done before. I never went and got full custody and fought in attorneys and all this stuff. That was way outside my realm. But I saw myself doing what I've never done before. I started to see myself going where I never went before in life. I started to see myself being Coach JC, this Superman guy that would change the world. Listen, I was seeing him. I was seeing who I could be, but that was way past who I currently was. Faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. That is vision. What are you seeing? Are you seeing a faith-filled life? Are you seeing a fear-filled life? Are you focused on who you can be or who you can't be? Are you focused on who God said you are? Or are you focused on the enemy's coming to steal, kill, and destroy every day? I'm beat up. This will never work. Guys, this is not rocket science. It's a very simple formula to set you up to win. Start to see different. Start to create a vision beyond your current reality, and you'll win in life.
Awesome. So awesome. So one last thing I want to ask you is, can you tell people some of the things that they can experience in life just by having a purpose? Like what feelings, what emotions?
Well,
obviously you are super passionate about what you do. I'm super passionate about what I do, and it's completely transformed the way I feel each day.
Yeah. Like the word of God, and this is a book as well. Like, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he, right? So is he who he becomes. Like, so for me personally, I think that, I'm very unreasonable with myself. I'm very unrealistic with myself. Like and I want you today too. Like once you can honestly get to a place where you have purpose, you feel like a weight's lifted. You feel like you're like free. Yeah. Like you're out there betting on yourself again. Like you're believing big again. You're loving big again. You're giving big again. You're doing big things again. Like the only you will ever have is the one you believe that you can have. The only future you will ever have is the one you believe in. The only life you will ever live is the one that you believe in. I'm telling you right now, like if you can get and start to live a purpose, you're going to have a passion. You're going to show up to life with a different intensity. You're going to show up and you're not going to say, I'm on the take. What can I get? You're going to say, watch out, world. I'm here to give. You're going to show up and say, I get to be here. Oh, that girl better be careful because I shine bright and I'm bold with grace. If she interacts with me, her life will never be the same. So for me, the greatest word that it ever gives, like having a purpose, is just, it brings freedom. There's so many people that do not have peace of mind and freedom because they're stuck. Their back's against the wall and they're trying to figure it out and they're working really hard and they're grinding and they're pushing it and they're trying with their marriage, but there's no purpose. Like, what's the purpose of your marriage? Bring a purpose. Bring a reason behind why you walk down the aisle. You can rekindle the marriage and it can be restored. It can be great once there's purpose. The greatest force in life is a soul on fire. Like a purpose-driven life. Like without that, you're going to have hard times. Like hard times are still going to come. But with purpose, it's so much easier because you'll fight to go through, you'll go over, you'll go under, you'll do whatever you need to do because your life is purpose-driven and not fear-driven. Your life is purpose-driven and not feeling-driven. See, that's the problem. Yet a lot of times we make decisions on a daily basis based off of fear and emotion because we don't have purpose. When I have purpose, I say, hold up, wait a minute. Feeling and emotion don't dictate and determine who I am and what I do, right? So I don't show up in my marriage and go by how I feel because I'm purpose-driven. See, if I'm not purpose-driven, then I allow feelings and emotions to dictate and determine who I am. And if you allow feelings and emotions to dictate and determine who you are, your life's going to be a roller coaster. You got to stop going by how you feel. You got to free yourself. You can create joy and peace and a life of quality and longevity and love. And it starts with purpose. You got to find who you are, who you were born to be, and who you can become.
Love it. You Exactly. Get rid of the heaviness, experience peace and joy. My life's purpose is to help people find their purpose and passion, because
Come
that's
on.
missing so much in this world.
It's
So
huge.
you have given so many, I mean, I'm actually like taking notes as we're having
Oh,
this conversation. You are so amazing and so powerful. Your energy is magnetic, truly. I love your heart for the Lord. Absolutely love your heart. So in closing, any last minute first steps of someone who really wants to be bold, shine bright with grace? And before you answer that, I'm just going to share, for me, creating my personal brand has been huge in that, because and I wish I would have known this at 20, but I searched for my significance in this world through my success, through doing well, through money, through having things. And it wasn't until I had my fall and realized, the things of the world is not truly what matters. Who am I and what do I have to offer? So
powerful.
would you tell people to take their first steps right now? Because there's so much valuable information in what you had to say. What would be
I think it's a great question. First of all, Deanna, I commend you on that step. It's not always easy, but it's worth it. And I think the first thing I would say is, if you're listening today and you say, man, I want to be bold, I want to shine bright, I know God has a calling on my life, I want to live a purpose-driven life, I want to bring more passion to an area of my life, I want to start that business, I want to be bold, and I know that I need to do those things, but I've been holding myself back because I'm scared, I don't have purpose, I don't think I'm enough. I would say where it starts with you bringing back a belief in you, and you've got to get to a true understanding of who you were created to be and called to be. So my goal of being on this podcast today, I believe, like, my mission is just to transfer hope to you. Like, if you don't have hope right now, borrow mine. If you don't have faith right now, borrow mine. Like, if you don't have that passion, borrow mine. Like, don't underestimate the power and who you were created to be. Man, you're wonderfully made. Stop downsizing like your most valuable asset, you. There's value in you, your story, your gifts, your skills, your knowledge, your experiences. No one in the world has you. So what do you want to be known for? What do you want your life to look for? What do you want to represent? What is the message you want to get to the world? Like, this is a defining moment this day on this podcast. You are done not shining bold. You are done showing up mediocre, average, okay. You are done putting your destiny on discount. You are done putting your greatness. You can't find your greatness at the thrift store, baby. Stop downsizing who you are. You got to start to see value in you, that power that lies within you, that you were placed on this earth for a reason. And it's to give the world what you have, to do something so ridiculously significant, to serve your people that you were called to. I just want you to hear that right now. I just want to transfer it to you. I just want to jump through the screen, because you may have forgotten until today. I think there's a lot of women listening, and until today, Deanna, they forgot who they were called to be. They forgot who they were born to be. You may have even taken yourself for granted. You put yourself on the bench. You put yourself in the locker room. You took yourself out of the game, and you've been playing mediocre, average, okay. You've just been showing up. But today that ends. Like, today's the defining moment. This is about your calling. It's bigger than you. There are people on the other side that need what you have. Look at Deanna as she stopped searching, and she became her best version of her with purpose, shining bright. Well, think about the people she's touching on the other side that never ever would have had the breakthrough they have if they haven't. You have the same power. God doesn't respect our person. It's about you building something that will not only change your life, but the people that you are called to, that will change the world. If you're ready for that, now's your time. Stop putting it off. Make a decision that I'm going to go all in on me. I'm going to go all in and start to bet on me. I'm going to make a decision to be disciplined, consistent in building my personal brand, my purpose-driven life, my brand that's going to be bold, shine bright with grace, and go all in on you, knowing you're the MVP. You were called for such a time as this, and you have everything you need. You need nothing else right now. Turn it on today and make it happen in your life so that you can shine bright and be bold with grace. That's what I would say to the person listening.
Standing ovation. Amazing. Absolutely incredible. Thank you. Thank you so much. Such wise words. And you guys, go all in. And just like Coach JC said, he said, believe in yourself, bet on yourself, and don't give your destiny a discount. I love that, because a lot of times we sell ourselves short. So thank you for joining us on this podcast. JC, you have changed lives today, absolutely changed lives. And I appreciate you so much. I appreciate your help with everything in my life and what you're doing for this world. So on Instagram, is it the Coach JC?
Yeah, the Coach JC on Instagram. CoachJC.com is the website. They can find me on every social media. Or you could actually, if they're interested in building a personal brand, they want to learn more about how to do that and the 5 proven steps, winalldaypersonalbrand.com. Winalldaypersonalbrand.com. And that'll kind of walk them through the process of how to build their purpose-driven, passion-filled personal brand.
I love it. Love it. Love it. So thank you guys so much for being a part of this amazing community that was created through this podcast. It is my joy and honor to serve you. And just to let you know, the Deanna's Diamonds group, private Facebook group, is still open. If you want to be a part of that group where women support each other, we empower each other, we encourage each other. I go live, I share tips. Just go to deannaherron.net and request to be a part of that Facebook group, and I will personally add you. So have an amazing, amazing rest of your week, and I look forward to talking to you next Tuesday. God bless everyone. Be inspired by the Deanna Herron podcast show at deannaherron.net.